Welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today, breaking down news of the day. We have none other than Francesca, very funny and always astute, host of the Bitchuation Room and TYT contributor all-star. Fascinating to have her analysis. Top story of the day, hell of a thing. Cornell University VP under fire. Why? Because he's okay with the KKK coming on the campus, you know, free speech and all. I got something to say. Put up the picture full of masks. Want to make sure you know exactly who made the statement. Obviously, Black students at Cornell and others are offended. Cornell University's vice president of university relations is under fire from a Black Student Alliance that says his unequivocal defense of free, of free speech has endangered their safety. Speaking to more than 200 Jewish parents of Cornell students via a video conference September 30th, Joel Molina was posed the question by the event's moderator. Hillel, Executive Director Rabbi Ari Weiss, if the university would allow the Ku Klux Klan's member to appear on campus, quote, if there were a faculty member that invited a KKK representative to speak, or a student group that invited a KKK representative to speak, yes, we would allow that, said the vice president of university relations, who was meeting with parents concerned about the university's handling of pro-Palestinian protesters. Now, this is all convoluted. What's wrong with being a pro-Palestinian protester? Nothing. Remember, Israel is not at war with the Palestinians. At least that's what they tell us. But let's go back to the issue at hand. He made this remark based on a Q&A. And the reason he cited a faculty member or student group is because on a university campus, typically, those are the two organizations that can approve a guest speaker. But here's the other side of the argument he decided not to say. You see, universities receive federal dollars, especially a university like Cornell. They have an obligation to eliminate discriminatory behavior, actions, and language, and not expose these dynamics to their student population. Free speech has a limitation when you get federal dollars. You have the right to the speech. You don't have the right to this grant money. Now, if you violate fair, equitable practices, which, by the way, discrimination is one, hateful language is another. These, let's just call them elements of higher education, can be taken away from you. Also, if the individual is such a firebrand, they create a conflict or security risk for the university campus. The president of the university always has the right to deny individuals opportunity to speak based on security concerns. It has happened many times before. So you mean to tell me you can shut down protesters who protest about ceasefire, end the war, preserve life, university professors getting arrested at Emory and other places throughout this nation, they can figure out how to violate their free speech. But when it comes to the KKK, unequivocal, yes, absolutely, they get to come to the campus. All right, here we go. The hypothetical was consistent with the theme pushed by the administrators. They pushed this theme throughout the meeting. As long as it doesn't descend into targeted harassment, which, by the way, the That's all the KKK does. They're a terrorist organization. As long as it doesn't descend into targeted harassment, the university will not punish or prevent offensive speech, according to the Cornell Daily Sun. One could argue that targeting Black people is what the KKK is all about. And Jewish students might say they felt targeted by the campus protests that some say became overtly anti-Semitic. This is why Cornell officials met with the group in the first place to say, we hear you, we'll protect you, but we're not going to censor demonstrators. But as the KKK analogy shows, free speech can be an unwieldy concept. The Cornell Black Student Alliance heard it and concluded, quote, all students of color at Cornell under attack by the administration. We do not feel safe, seen, or heard. I want to make sure they know they are seen and heard here. As far as their safety, that's up to the campus security and the protocols they're in. On Friday, about 180 students hit the streets demanding the dismissal of this vice president of university relations. They also urged administrators to overturn the suspension of international graduate student Mamadou Ta'al. Bargain with Cornell University students united over the work conditions based upon Mamadou. The limit police surveillance at protest was another request, and revised the interim expressive activity policy, which spells out the university's caveat-laden free speech doctrine. Ta'al is from the United Kingdom, faces deportation after he was temporarily suspended for participating in a pro-Palestinian protest on September 18th. University officials said they were obligated to cancel his visa due to the suspension. It's unclear how much leverage the students might possess. The VP's remarks drew widespread condemnation, with organizations that range from Latin organizations to Native American organizations and even the South Asian Council, offering statements online rejecting the nearly absolutist stand on free speech from the VP. The policy gives Cornell officials some cover on recent controversies, including the reinstatement of a history professor, Russell Rickford, who celebrated Hamas, October 7, 2023, as exhilarating and energizing. Rickford spent much of the past year on a voluntary leave, but returned to the classroom last month after the furor of his comments died down. Okay. Cornell is promoted as a, smart university. You got smart people there. You have smart professors, okay? You all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that all of the student organizations seem to be, well, much more in the now.
Yes.
And understand leadership beyond that of those who actually are trained in the profession. It's a hot damn mess, Francesca. What say you?
I'm glad you're characterizing it as that, because that's how I read it too. It is a hot mess here. There's many different layers to this clearly callous and I think wrong remark from Melina that, yeah, the KKK would be allowed. The KKK, as you mentioned, is a terrorist organization. They should never be allowed anywhere near campus, right? Now, if you want to talk about white nationalists or people who believe in white identitarianism, we can parse that in another frame. And, many universities have invited, white nationalists in varying degrees onto their campuses, right?
Yep.
So let's just put that aside. But this whole thing was triggered by a very much a gotcha question from what I believe are bad faith, in this case, pro-Israel groups at Cornell, who are basically, this is what they do all the time, which is they liken Palestine protesters to KKK members. That is not an apt comparison. That is completely out of line to say the people who want an end to genocide, who want to see Palestinian liberation, are KKK. Ridiculous. But that's the question that was posed to him. And he fell into this trap in service of trying to defend Palestine protesters' right to free speech. He was like, yeah, and the KKK. Clearly didn't see that it was a gotcha question. And now he pissed off all sides. So ironically, he brought people together around at least hating him. But again, you know, look, it's important to know Hillel is an organization that absolutely promotes a propagandistic view of Israel, one where Israel can do no wrong, is not committing the genocidal and war crimes that it is committing currently in Gaza. Again, this week we know that thanks to American doctors who visited Gaza, that children have been shot at point blank, one single bullet to the head, and are coming in with that wound. These are targeted assassinations of children by the IDF. It is indefensible. But again, Hillel, it's a cultural organization, but has slowly descended into being more of a pro-statist, pro-Israel organization. So it's important to know that backstory and know that they use universities and they use universities' bad responses to Palestinian protesters as a way to kind of like get their foot in the door and basically make sure that all criticism of Israel is criminalized. Exactly what these protesters are asking does not happen. And you see, you know, with the expulsion and deportation of one of the students, just how serious it's gotten on this campus. Hot mess is an understatement.
Yep. And we had a report last week that you have a pro-Israeli group trying to rip accreditation away from universities that allow pro-Palestinian protests. It's quite insane. All right. An innocent grandfather, Black grandfather, slammed to the ground during an arrest. Here it is.
You need to calm down.
Give me my stuff.
You need
Look
to
at
calm
my
down.
ID. Look at my
Where's your ID?
prescription. Look at my prescription. God
need
damn
to-
it.
Okay.
Look at my prescription.
Hang on.
Get off of me.
Hang on.
What the? I didn't do anything.
Hang on, bro.
I just came out the doctor.
Okay.
And you attacking me. What the?
Bro,
Man.
bro. All right.
I didn't do anything.
Listen to me.
I'm
Listen.
suing you.
Listen to me.
What the?
Listen to me.
I had hip surgery. Why are you on me?
Listen to me.
I just walked out the doctor.
Listen to me.
You have the wrong person.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I just need to talk to you, okay? I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. I understand. I need
No, you don't, because y'all on me. I didn't do anything.
Tyrone, I need to talk to you, okay? I'm gonna sit you up right now, but I need to talk to you.
You on my hip.
Listen to me.
You have the wrong person.
I understand that.
So why the are you on me?
If you understand that, let him out the damn cuffs, apologize and say, sir, we hope this did not ruin your entire day. You don't understand a damn thing. If you know he didn't do anything, why are you still engaging? Why is there interaction? Why is he handcuffed? Why did you slam him? Why do you need to put someone in cuffs to talk with them? Would you allow somebody to put you in cuffs? Then say they just want to have a conversation? Would you be okay with that? Would you be calm? What if somebody did it to your mama? Would you feel okay about it? What about your grandmother? Put her at the picture full mass. In New York, this happened back in 2021. It was 3 days before Christmas. You're looking at Mr. Tyrone Pfeiffer. A then 60-year-old Black man was assaulted, abused, and arrested by police in New York after they said he, quote, fit the description of another man named Leroy, who was 20 years his junior. And even when Nassau County police officers confirmed Mr. Pfeiffer's identity within 1 minute of confronting him, even addressing him by his actual name multiple times, they continued to arrest him. So understand why this man is frustrated. The incident took place December 22nd, 2021. Mr. Pfeiffer had walked out of the Baldwin Foot Care carrying an umbrella and 2 brown paper bags, which included medical prescriptions and Christmas cookies given to him by staff at the doctor's office. Let's stop the BS. He said to one of the cops, "You know what you did?" "Who, me?" responded Mr. Pfeiffer. "Yeah, you know, you beat up the woman." That's what the cop said. Sergeant Amondi then grabbed the umbrella and bags out of Mr. Pfeiffer's hands and tossed them on the ground. He then picked up a prescription that showed the man's name was actually Tyrone, not Leroy, Tyrone Pfeiffer. The body camera video shows Pfeiffer telling the cops, quote, "You got the wrong person," as he was on the ground. Response: "I understand that," one of the cops says, acknowledging the mistake, but proceeding with the arrest anyway. Acknowledging the mistake, but proceeding with the arrest anyway. There's more. The cops then tried to cover up for themselves by accusing Mr. Pfeiffer of attacking them, making them fear for his safety, when it's obvious from the video that the only person fearing for his safety was Mr. Pfeiffer. "When I tried to talk to you, you tried to swing." That's what one cop said to Mr. Pfeiffer. Quote, "No, I didn't," Pfeiffer responded. The body camera footage shows the cops insinuating he has mental issues when it is evident he was just angry at being accosted under false circumstances. After they had him detained or restrained, police acknowledged they had the wrong guy. And they tried to justify their actions by telling him he fit the description of the man they were looking for. Quote, "So every black man fits the effing description?" Mr. Pfeiffer responded. Mr. Pfeiffer was still charged with obstruction of governmental administration, and it took 10 months for the charges to be dropped. He was arrested a little after 10 a.m., then transported to a local hospital, where he says he remained handcuffed to a gurney until 8 p.m. Mr. Pfeiffer, now 63 years of age, was left traumatized by the incident and can no longer go to medical appointments or shop for groceries without family members. Last month, Mr. Pfeiffer filed a lawsuit against the county police department and the officers involved in his arrest, including the sergeant. The police officers, which included Patrick McGrath and Quinn R. Noor. Also Richard J. Fosbeck, as well as the Nassau County Police Commissioner, Patrick J. Ryder. Let's put them up. Leadership here. All right. Buck stops with these individuals. You're looking at the County Police Commissioner, Patrick J. Ryder, and Chief Stephen Palmer. They oversee the department. The lawsuit states that 3,656 Black people were arrested in the county in 2021 compared to 3,400 whites, even though Black people only make up 10% of the county's population. And Mr. Pfeiffer will be part of that arrest statistic, even though he did absolutely nothing wrong, okay? Now, there has to be a line, especially for those who say you want good police, you support the police, and you support good police. Well, you can't support what these cops did, because after they figured out they made a mistake, they blamed this man for getting upset at them for arresting him after he just got some damn Christmas cookies from the sweet women at the facility he went to. Of course, you're going to be upset. And you still charge the man, and you don't have the decency to just say, "I'm sorry." Where's your humanity? It seems as if for some, when you put on that blue suit, you somehow take off your real humanity. And that's the issue in the industry. Francesca, I see routinely this ego, because it's all ego, right? There's nothing else. At this point, what else would you want to do to him? You've already ruined his day. Now you want to ruin his life.
100%. Handcuffed to a gurney till 8 p.m. This arrest happened at 10 in the morning. I mean, it's wild. And again, you know, the disproportionate stops in a predominantly white county is one thing. The documented history of the cops doing this is another. But you every single step, it's racism. You look at this man, if he was wrongly arrested and he was a white man, he just gets let go.
Yep.
That's all that happens, exactly as you said. But because of ego, and I would argue because of racism and white supremacy, these officers needed and wanted a compliant black man. That is what they demanded, and they do that with poor people. There's classism, there's racism, there's all of that that goes into policing, right? But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a black man who this happens to. And so they wanted compliance. So it's not enough that they got the wrong guy. It's that he was yelling and they felt disrespected. And who knows, it could have even escalated and they could have felt threatened. Thank God it didn't get to that. But again, it's just the degradation, the humiliation that the police continually wield over the black community in this country, in blue states like New
Yep.
York.
Yep, that's right.
Really cannot be glossed over or overstated.
Very well said. Obviously, we will bring updates as they develop. What if I told you police decided to jump out on a man who was deaf and did not understand what was happening, decided to beat him up really bad? But that's not it. They were responding to a call of a white male who was being trespassed away from a store. They go to the white male that actually had the police called on him. The white male says, "Hey, officers, I'm not really the bad guy. You see that random black person over there? He's the guy. Go get him." Cops said, "Oh, that's the guy." Run up, brutally assault this black male. I'm going to give you a story that will break your heart. Put up the picture full mask. Taking you to Phoenix, Arizona, a black male who is deaf. He also has cerebral palsy, is now facing felony aggravated assault and resisting arrest charges, but he did nothing wrong. He was repeatedly punched and tasered by a pair of Phoenix police officers. The violent and rapid arrest of Mr. Tyron McAlpin raises serious questions and can serve as a test case for Phoenix and the Department of Justice as the two battle over whether the police department in America's 5th largest city needs federal oversight. I want to show you some of these pictures, okay, from the attack. They literally rode up next to him, jumped out and beat him up. Nothing else. Nothing else. And then they continued to torture this man. He's deaf. Acting on false claims from a white male who was under investigation at that time. Body camera video shows officers unexpectedly go after McAlpin, punch him in the head at least 10 times, taser him 4 times, and wrap their arms around his neck. Now, I got to remind everyone, this department just got finished with a massive federal review. The Department of Justice said the department is racist. I'm summarizing the report, but that's what they said. And then after the report, this happens. There's more. Quote, "It's hard for me to see how the city can come out and say with a straight face that it is meeting the DOJ report head on when this man is being charged with assault on police officers for this incident," said Jesse Showalter, one of McAlpin's attorneys. Phoenix police officials did not answer specific questions about the arrest, but confirmed it is under internal investigation. Quote, "This incident is the subject of an ongoing investigation and was assigned to the Professional Standards Bureau on August 30th, 2024, end quote. But Phoenix police and Maricopa County prosecutors continue to pursue a criminal case against the innocent McAlpin. During a recent preliminary hearing, Maricopa County Superior Court Commissioner Nick Saccone found there was probable cause for his August 19th, 2024 arrest. McAlpin was arrested by officers Benjamin Harris and Kyle Sue. There was no probable cause, okay? There was no probable cause for an arrest. Maybe you have the prerequisite for a question, but you do not have probable cause to effect an arrest. The individual who had the police called on him is the one who said, hey, I need you to look at this black guy across the street. He did it. That's not probable cause. Not for an arrest. In their police reports and court testimony, the two officers stated that the innocent McAlpin was going to run, took a fighting stance, threw repeated punches, would not comply with commands. He's deaf. McAlpin's attorney said body camera video and surveillance footage show the officers' claims are false and said there's an obvious explanation for why he could not comply. Quote, the answer is easy. He's deaf. He couldn't understand what they were doing. And he had done nothing wrong. End quote from the attorney. Quote, everything I see in that video is Tyron just trying to avoid being harmed by these officers. And that only makes them increase the escalation and the violence that they're using. End quote. The arrest happened 2 months after the DOJ released a historic and severe report outlining a long list of systemic failures within Phoenix Police. Among the problems cited by the DOJ, the following issues are also raised in this arrest present: racial bias, excessive force, dangerous use of tasers and chokeholds, and violating the rights of people with disabilities. They did it all on one man, and literally that's what the report says. They do all the damn time. Put up these pictures. The violent arrest stems from a morning call from Circle K employees who reported that a white male was causing problems and would not leave the store. That's according to the official report. While being trespassed, meaning they told him to leave, he wouldn't leave. They called the police to issue him a trespass, which could have landed him in jail. While being trespassed, the man claimed he was actually assaulted by a black man and pointed across the street at the innocent McAlpin. Officers, Twiddledum, officers Harris and Sue took the man's claim as gospel, left the white male who was under investigation for illegally trespassing to run after Mr. McAlpin. The man's assault claim was later refuted by store employees and surveillance video records show. After handcuffing McAlpin, his girlfriend arrived at the arrest and told the officers that he was deaf and he had cerebral palsy. She says it right in the video. According to body camera footage, none of the officers at the scene included any of the information about Mr. McAlpin's disabilities in their reports. None. Said nothing. Other people had to tell the officers, what are you doing? He did nothing wrong. This individual is literally trying to just be. Officers didn't put in their report because they knew they had done something severely wrong. Well, they do it all the time. It's part of their culture. DOJ report outlined it. Put them up. Here are your officers. You got Ben Harris. You got Kyle Sue. Okay. Both Harris and Sue were called to testify during a preliminary hearing October 1st, 2024. You won't believe this. Harris testified that he immediately went hands-on with McAlpin within a second because he believed he was going to run and was going to fight. He just had a belief. It was just in his heart that this is what this black man is going to do. So I must violate all of his rights. He raised his hands in a manner that he was going to strike me, Harris said during cross-examination. What that communicated to me is that I was about to get assaulted. Not that someone was giving up. So what the officer is doing, and the judge is playing along with this sick ass game, he's providing his standard, which is always subjective. See, officers get to have a subjective standard when it comes to reasons for their actions. Now, you can't do that. I can't do that. Our standards must be quite objective. Somebody who's reasonable has to agree that our actions were reasonably done. But an officer simply has to prove parameters of mind, meaning their own thinking. And their own thinking will then subjectively qualify the actions that happen thereafter. And once again, the judge is allowing this game to be played. Harris also testified that he did not know if it was possible that McAlpin raised his hands to protect himself from Harris's sudden punches in response to a question from the prosecution. Harris said everything could have been avoided if McAlpin just indicated he was deaf. That's what they literally said on the stand. Quote, I would have had him sit down, made motions with my hand to have him sit down, and then I would have gotten the pen, end quote. Now, mind you, they rolled up on the man, jumped out immediately, and beat him up. They gave no command. They just start physically attacking him. Okay, there's more. As for Officer Sue, he also testified that he saw McAlpin throw punches and claimed that he was bitten on the wrist during the arrest. Officer Sue's body camera fell off at the beginning of the arrest and only shows the ground. When asked to pinpoint the moment on Officer Harris's body camera footage when the bite occurred, Sue stopped when the camera was pointed upward. McAlpin was not in frame. Put it up. I'm going to tell you what happened. As he was choking McAlpin, he put his own fist inside of McAlpin's mouth. Do you understand? Circumstantial. Guarantee you that's how it happened. Defense attorneys asked Sue if it was possible he scraped his wrist on the ground or McAlpin's open mouth as they punched, choked, and tasered him. But Sue said no and denied using a chokehold on McAlpin. In a bizarre moment to refute the defense's claim about causing the scrape on Sue's wrist, the prosecution asked him to stick his hand in his mouth and rub it on his teeth. When Commissioner Saccone ruled he had found proper cause for the felony charges to move forward, he did not give an explanation as to why. He's provided cover for these cops because he knows good and damn well all of these charges are going to get dropped. These cops are going to be sued. And once again, the city will engage in a playful game of defund the police. But they're okay when the police defund the police. They just get upset when Black people say it. All right, Francesca, horrible story.
Yeah.
Very sad. The whole game that's being played in this city is ridiculous, and the DOJ needs to get more involved than they were.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like it's amazing the kinds of excuses that can come out of a police officer's mouth.
Yeah.
I watched the video, and this poor gentleman, he's looking down. He's leaving. He's looking down. His head's down. The police car rolls up. He tries to go around. He's just like, oh, this car's in my way. I'm gonna go around.
Yep.
Then he looks up, and all of a sudden, two officers are jumping out of their car, and they're already beating on him. So of course, and at that point, Doc, like, you don't even know if they're police. Like, you don't
Right.
even register that they're cops. They're just two people who are just assaulting you. So of course you're going to put up your hands. I mean, and again, that's not to say that you wouldn't already, even if you did know they were cops. No one is willingly going to be punched in the face, but cops regularly call that resisting, which is absolutely, and that's a human rights violation straight up. But again, I mean, it's just incredible that these gentlemen will likely keep their jobs. And as we've seen, it's the taxpayers who are going to pay any payout to the victims of their, basically deputized gangs that run amok in cities like Phoenix and everywhere, right? I mean, the amount of payouts that taxpayers have to do because of this negligence. And if only it was obviously the context of this arrest is wild, because like you said, it is based on a white suspect saying, no, that Black guy over there. What did he do? Did he fly? How did he get over there? Like, what are you talking about? So there's that. But I think the other thing is like, why is throwing a fist first acceptable in any line of work, but especially if you're a police officer? How
That's
is
right.
that acceptable? Is he threatening you? Does he have a weapon out? No, no, and no. There's nothing about that situation that says anyone is under any kind of threat. And so they should immediately be fired from the force.
Yeah, and the irony that they accepted the word of a white male who was under investigation without any corroboration at all. They then violate the rights of this individual. And for the Department of Justice, you can get involved now. There's a deprivation of rights here.
Yes.
So all of these consent decrees, that's great. It's a beautiful thing. But at the end of the day, you may need to make some examples out of police officers who continue to violate citizens in this country. We have more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Now I'm going to do something very different here and read some one-star reviews of the Young Turks on Apple Podcasts. Donnie Franchise said, pretty much it's like listening to a trash compactor. Someone else said, negative, anti-American propaganda. And others said, out of context, misquotes, typical leftists who are afraid to debate, just smear. These two would be perfect for CNN or MSLSD. Well, Donnie, you might have a point, because I feel like a trash compactor right now after taking in all those garbage reviews. But thanks for listening anyway. We are, in fact, unapologetically progressive. And if you're not ready for bold commentary, then we're not the show for you. On the Young Turks, we speak up about the issues that matter, and we want to make positive change happen. And now here's why we actually do the show. Mariel Morales said, found this podcast from the True Crime Podcast, Fruit Loops, and other great progressive podcasts. I've become an instant fan of the Young Turks. Great conversation, great takes, very well composed, factual podcast, very informative. Love to hear that. Zed55 said, it's a joy to experience such awareness and intelligence from fascinating people. And Anna is gorgeous and brilliant. Apparently I'm just fascinating, but I'll take it. Paul for Progress said, news well delivered. Appreciate it. KOOK said, Democrats and Republicans are fair game for TYT. And if Anna or Cenk provide disinformation about anything, they will admit they made a mistake and correct it. We appreciate you noticing that we are honest. To people who actually listen to the substance of the show, thank you. Your listenership supports what we do. Leave a 5-star rating for the Young Turks on Apple Podcasts. Let's take the ratings back from the trolls. Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. Here at TYT, we understand this. That's why we're not going to price gouge you or use inflation as an excuse to raise our prices. A TYT membership is not your typical subscription, but basic membership is still just $4.99. So what do you get for that price? For starters, you're getting exclusive programming, unique, exclusive designs from Shop TYT, access to a members-only chat, giveaways, emojis, and so many other amazing perks. But most importantly, you're helping to make an impact. As a TYT member, you not only help us do the shows every day, but you drive real positive change in the process. In 2017, we helped to start Justice Democrats right here on TYT. That's a group that got 12 progressives elected into Congress. That's amazing, you did that. Your support also funds TYT's very own investigative reporting. Just recently, our reporters exposed the Fellowship Foundation and pressured lawmakers into boycotting that bigoted event. Isn't that amazing? We raised over $30,000 for Jackson, Mississippi, and delivered clean water to thousands of people in need. Our petitions, polls, and community of activists help keep the corruption of Washington in check. That's the impact of what just $4.99 a month from our members can do, and we're just getting started. Positive change doesn't occur overnight, but with your contribution, we can make it happen together. You know that viral video you saw of me? First of all, it's bull. Second of all, they got it from a snippet of the live show. You should check out the live show so you see the full context of everything we say. Weekdays, 6 o'clock Eastern, Young Turks on YouTube or wherever you get TYT.
The support we receive from members is the backbone of our movement to drive positive change. We need viewers like you to keep moving forward. Visit tyt.com/team and join our movement.
Welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read some of these beautiful comments. 36 Chambers Dragon says, Franny and the doc, they help us get through the weekend. How can we be so lucky? Love you too. We love you back. Lynn, that cop didn't need to talk to Tyrone. He needed to leave him alone. That's right. Exactly. Biden flavor corn pop. Authorities executed a wrong man last week. That's right. Yep. The political Gemini. These stories of cops attacking disabled people of color makes me so extremely angry. If DOG said they're racist, why hasn't anything been done about them? Make it make sense. See, now you're asking the right question. You're asking the right question. Does the DOJ have jurisdiction? Yes. Once there's a violation of actual civil rights, which is a federally protected statute, it is constitutional to the country. It is a federal case at that point, or it can be. You have multi-jurisdictional opportunity here. They typically like to go the civil route, but they can go the criminal route. You got to hold the federal government accountable to hold police departments like this to the utmost responsibility to you. All right? Okay. That's something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
You're not leaving. You're not leaving.
Yes, sir.
Did you see me?
Pulled off to the side, I did. I have it on dash cam. You and Nick did. I'm going to go skate.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. You're not. You're not going anywhere until the police come.
Dude, stop.
No.
Dude, literally stop.
No, I'm calling the police and you're not leaving. You're not leaving. You're not leaving.
Bro's got his hands on me and stuff.
Yeah, guy won't leave because of the police.
Look at this dude. What are you doing? Why are you so cranky?
I'm calling the police. That's
Dude, why are you so cranky?
No, you're not going anywhere.
Oh my God.
You're not going anywhere.
I don't want to be aggressive with you, dude.
You already are. You pushed into me. I asked you to wait. You didn't wait.
Push into
you did. How'd you get out of the car?
You yanked my
Yeah,
door.
I've got a very aggressive teenager here that almost hit me in the car.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I first saw this video, I said, surely the young driver must have hit the individual who has made, I guess you would call this a citizen's arrest, okay? The man gets off of his bicycle, opens the door of the other individual, proceeds to not allow him to move, takes away his right of mobility. And the guy is so calm about it. I got to give it to you, sir, to the young man who said, I don't want to be aggressive. you definitely have the patience of Job, because there's a point in this interaction where I know for sure he would have caught these hands. There's nowhere in the hell. But there's more, and it gets even wilder. Here it is.
Get back in the car if you're not trying to leave. Just get back in the car and wait for the police.
I'll wait right here.
Then don't try to get around my bike.
Dude, you think I was in your space over there?
Yes.
Then
I'm riding a bike. I have more rights than you.
What, dude?
I have the right of way.
We share a road.
I have the right of way when I'm on a bike. Do you ride a bike?
Sometimes.
Oh, you don't ride a bike. Obviously, you wouldn't have been so close to me if you did. When are the police coming, please? Okay, thank you.
A lot of back and forth happens. The young man is so nice that when the male Karen called the police, he could not remember exactly where he was at. The young driver proceeded to tell him where they were, helping him report the police on himself. This guy's just too nice. The police did come. As soon as the police got there, I could tell the cops knew this was a Karen moment. They went, the male Karen comes up to them and says, I'm the one who called the police. And the cop like, yeah, buddy, get over there. And go. And so I have all the confidence in the world that the arriving officer, was well aware that this was a code 1019-24. Karenicity in progress. All right. Francesca, thoughts?
I mean, this just like, be on your bike. You've got all your gear. Enjoy the fresh air. Clearly, you're just a little bit too hopped up on like, your adrenaline's already pumping and then you get really mad. And okay, look, all respect to bikers out there.
Yeah.
The roads are dangerous. It's a car's world. You're just living in it. I don't agree with that. I hate that. I think we should truly share the road. But let's be honest. There are aggressive bikers out there. Exhibit however many hundred that I've seen. Like, there are people who, when they are bikers, they become massive a-holes. There are people who, when they're drivers, they become massive a-holes. But they feel very entitled because they're a biker and you're a car. And look, I defend their rights. But like, this is just so silly. And once again, it's like, oh, there's an aggressive teen. Oh, okay, I'll put that right underneath the gerbil that is stuck underneath a sofa in terms of order of importance in the police department. It's just like, I don't understand why people want to ruin their own day. And yeah. I mean, look, it's fine. I think also the other thing is, you're right. He's very lucky that this kid is like not fighting him. He's just thinks it's funny. I really do love Gen Z in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, when he said, I have an aggressive teenager, I'm like, who? It must be somebody else there, because it's definitely not this guy. All right. Big ups to you, young man, for the way you handled yourself. Okay. President Obama had a tough talk about Black men and voting in 2024. Kind of off message, according to some. Put up the picture for a mass. This is an interesting story. Former President Obama attended the Black Voters for Harris event in East Liberty with a message to Black men. Here it is.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you.
Yeah, President Obama, you're preaching to the choir in that room. And it definitely came across as if you were saying, you know, I know more than all of you. You know, we're trying to do this together. It's a coalition. And I understand your heart, dear brother. I do. You're a remarkable human being, one of the greatest presidents we've had in America, in my opinion, even though you filed some policies that I vocally disagreed with. There are many that I did agree with. But there are so many people who are doing the work. Look at Mayor Mondale, comes on this program. He leads a Black voter initiative. You have many people who lead Black voter initiatives. And allow me, sir, if I can be so bold, just to make a recommendation. If you would have mentioned some of those voter organizations that are connected already to Black male voting outreach, imagine how much press they would have received and how much support they would have garnered because you decided to mention those pro-Black male voting initiatives that are currently working their ass off day and night to make things happen. Okay, there are some issues inside of the Black community that is contextualized differently in other communities. These elements play into the overall. All right, so he addressed the crowd, saying that Black men not been as, well, let's just say enthused, all right? President Obama added, Harris is offering policies to address rising housing costs and protect health care, and her record deserves the support of Black men and the entire Black community. I agree. He said the, quote, women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. I agree. And it's time to repay the favor, help elect the first woman and first Black woman as president in U.S. history. All of that I agree. But you already offended a few people before you said that part, okay? Ultimately, in Pennsylvania, it might be a handful of votes that determine the difference in this counting, he said. I didn't mean to get so serious. You're lucky Michelle's not here, end quote. Senator Turner responded on CNN, our dear sister and friend, and here's what Senator Turner said.
Governor Walz, according to Politico, is going to be going out on a mentor, literally a tour of media to appeal to men.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice, but to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are Black men being lectured to? Why are Black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out Black men is wrong. And some of the Black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it.
Let's go back to the policy dynamic. Politics is about policy. If you want a particular group to move for you, usually you talk about what policies are in place that would benefit that particular demographic. That's how it works, okay? When you go to members of the Jewish community, LGBTQ community, whatever it may be, you talk about policies, policies. So when you get to Black men, talk about policies, because you're right. Her policies on housing, especially first-time home buyers, her policies on economic development within the context of business ownership. It's a hell of a First Start program. It's an amazing program she has. Policies are good. Senator Turner continues with a message about voters. Here it is.
So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to Black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from Black women. And why? as a politician, we should be trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping away of some of women's bodily autonomy. But this is wrong for President Obama. It is a wrong course for the Harris-Walz campaign to lay at the feet of black men when they have their reasons. In 2020, the vice president was labeled a cop, as we know.
But do you think, sorry to interrupt you, Nina, but do you think he's right? That one of the reasons is because they don't like the idea of a woman.
It might be some listen, black men are socialized in the same society as any other man. So yes, is misogyny maybe a part of it? But again, is President Obama and is the Harris-Walz campaign going to lecture other male groups?
But he's not going to say that to Latino men. He's not going to say that to white males or white Jewish demographics. He won't do that, okay? So understand there is a disconnect here. And here's what happens. At the end of that, you continue to promote the ideology in the public way. If for some reason, God forbid, but if Harris did not win, there's a blame game that takes place. And that blame game further alienates the coalition that we're trying to build. And so this is why it can become a harmful dynamic when not contextualized through wisdom and done so properly. All right, just a critique. Francesca, thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. I obviously think Senator Turner is right on the money. I mean, I think what's interesting about, and the biggest critique that I think a lot of voters of color in this country, and especially black voters, have with the Democratic Party is that they are expected to get in line. They are expected to just kind of, you know, shut up, put up, and we know how you're going to vote, so you vote for us, and they take your votes for granted. And over the last, you know, few cycles, we've been seeing that people are tired of that, and that absolutely their issues are the same as every other American's issues, but perhaps more acutely. Housing, healthcare, education, but more acute, right? Disproportionately, people who are stuck in a system that works against them and them being able to thrive. So speak to those issues. It's so perfect. But instead, Obama played into the same Democratic centrist trope of shut up, get in line, you got to vote because, you know, she knows you. Does she know you? Right. I mean, and this is the other thing. We in flattening the black experience, I think it doesn't do a service to Democrats in saying that she knows you and she knows she doesn't really, though. She has to earn black Americans' vote, just like she has to earn, let's be real, like the Polish vote in Pennsylvania. I mean, she's going above and beyond trying to you know, shout out the very specific white ethnic enclaves in these swing states. But then when it comes to black voters, it's like, everyone just get in line. Come on.
That's right. Well said. All right. We got to go back to a policy dynamic. That's all. Okay. That's how we get people motivated to participate and come back to the table again. You deliver on the resume that you campaigned on. It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, Jerry, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right? A few years ago, when I realized that I was gonna have to put makeup on the show. I had to go through finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently what I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. This I did. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw. All hands. Pick up a couple streaks. This is the guy we were putting on makeup. We got dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. They'll say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
All right, welcome back. Tough stories today. All right, very tough. Always appreciative of every single one of you. Biden flavor corn pop. Francesca, girl, you are on it. You got a bunch of applause and some flames. All right, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
As always. Glenda says, as a pedestrian, I'm more afraid of cyclists than drivers. Cyclists never follow the rules. Ex-Dalton Security Dragon, he was too calm with this Kevin, not me. And 32 Antoine, member for 27 months. Thank you for that. Trump ain't talking to black men. E. Smith, here is a question I saw on social media. Did Hillary Clinton lecture white women after the 2016 election? That's actually, when you look at this, the voting data. Okay. All right. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse scolded a family member for not watching the kid. Hell of a thing. Here it is.
Grab your camera.
Employee of the Year material right there. That's what that is. Loved it. All right. So to me, that's not even breaking character at all, because I think Mickey Mouse loves the kids. Francesca, thoughts here?
I mean, at least give them a photo if you're gonna scold, which it's like, it's fine. It's true. The kid runs up to him, he bowls him over, like Mickey feels bad, right? You know, it was a cute little pantomime, hold on to your kid, but like the dad's trying to get the shot and then Mickey's like, peace. Like, come on, at least give him a photo. Instead, the dad just walked away like, you know, pissed. Now they got to go back. Now they got to find a different Mickey. They got to find like the sorcerer Mickey to give him the actual shot.
Right.
Or wait till that Mickey goes off shift. Then,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's a whole thing.
That's right. There you go. All right. Always beautiful
That's
having
silly.
you on the program. Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
Yeah, listen or watch the Bitchuation Room podcast. YouTube.com/FrannyFio is where I'm at, or wherever you get your podcasts, the Bitchuation Room. We're doing a lot of good stuff before the election. I'm so nervous.
You're not the only one. All
No.
right. Hopefully we're not going to be saying we're moving to Canada.
Yeah, right.
All right. Always
But
a
if we
pleasure.
did start a little, like an enclave of TYT people, that'd be kind of fun.
That would be dope one. All right.
Yeah.
Always good to have you in the
Thanks,
program.
Doc.
Thanks for all you do. Bullpen is next. Stick and stay.
Magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, JR, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right, a few years ago, when I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show. I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently when I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. This I did. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw, all hands. Pick up a couple streaks. This is the guy way of putting on makeup. We got dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. They'll say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
Welcome to the bullpen.
Not had any alcohol.
Have not.
Okay. Now, how about marijuana? Because you have had that.
Excuse me?
Marijuana?
I'm sorry? I didn't understand. What did you say?
I said, how about marijuana?
No.
No marijuana?
No.
Okay. You want to hang out right here for me? I don't think I have any. Yeah, you know, I had a stash in here somewhere. I don't really know where it's at. He's gonna refuse anyway.
I think it's a combination of the THC for sure. I didn't really evaluate them, but you can definitely see a impairment for the THC, and then thinking his medication, prescribed medication, affecting it too. It's amplifying the effects of the
I'm gonna take him.
In a story we covered just a few days ago on Indisputable, we now have the exclusive interview, in-depth interview with Mr. Dakarai Larriett, who was the intended victim of what seemed to be a heinous crime at that moment, planting drugs and more. Michigan officers did this. We're going to talk about it. Mr. Larriett, good day, sir. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Ritchie.
Thank you for being here. I wish it was under better circumstances. This was a hell of a thing. On the day of reporting, not only did these officers seemingly try to find drugs to plant on you once they realized you were not on drugs, nor did you have any, they also forced you to defecate in front of them and made insinuations that they were going to find drugs in that as well. And it continued on and on. If you would, summarize in your own words what you experienced that day and the details of what happened.
Sure. So basically, I was just driving a friend home, driving while black and in an expensive car. And the police pulled me over for no probable cause and put me through what felt like endless sobriety tests again and again and again.
Can you describe those sobriety tests?
Oh, absolutely. Heel to toe, putting my finger to my nose, standing on one leg. At one point, I was asked, do I know the alphabet? It was just demeaning. And it was back and forth between the two officers. And it was clearly intended to break my spirit. So that went on, I believe, about an hour. And ultimately, they decided that I was both intoxicated and high on marijuana, and that I needed to be tested at the local hospital. And the drug piece, we can talk about that later because I learned that later after getting my Freedom of Information Act request returned. Went to the hospital, immediately tested negative for alcohol. They decided they wanted to jail me anyway because the marijuana test would take 2 weeks to come back. So they wanted me to sober up and be safe in the jail, which is ridiculous because in the state of Michigan, marijuana is fully legal for recreational use. So why couldn't I just walk out of that jail across the street to my house and sleep in my bed? The whole point was humiliation. So getting to the jail, and they are booking me, scanning me, making sure I have no contraband on my body. And they notice in my stomach an anomaly. And they start scanning me and scanning me and scanning me again. And in that process, Officer Kenya goes, that looks like a bag of drugs. Confess now or you will face a trafficking charge. So all night he was trying to place me in some type of drug crime. I did need to use the restroom at some point in that night and asked to do so. I was taken to a public area. It was like a theater for pooping. And basically, he told me, do not flush as I went to use the restroom. After that, I did ultimately get the test done by someone who knew what they were doing. And they said I just had gas bubbles in my stomach. And I think most people would after being harassed, terrorized, and stalked all night. I was booked, spent the night in the jail, and walked out the next day.
What charges did they affix to you?
The original charge was operating under the influence of drugs. And I believe there was some comment about alcohol, but ultimately they were trying to get me for that one.
So they charged you with still basically a DUI, a DWI. And
a drug. Yes.
Right. And you passed the field sobriety test, and you also passed the blood test issued by the hospital. But they said that the secondary test, or at this point, third test, would take 2 weeks to come back. So they're going to have you just sit in jail for those 2 weeks. And then they embarrass you by making you defecate in front of them and et cetera. Give us some scenarios, the scene of this responding officer, because you didn't realize that they tried to find drugs. And I want to go back to this point because it's very important. You didn't know this during the moment because they obviously are hiding it from you, but clearly.
And they continue to hide from me.
And they try to keep it away from you, correct?
Well, they continue to. They are not releasing clean unredacted video. There are complete gaps in the video. There are gaps in audio or complete omissions of audio. And I actually talked to the passenger that you don't see in the main video. And I said, well, what was happening in this 1 minute gap in audio? And he said, oh, that was when they were asking me if the car really belonged to you.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
It was really chilling for me to see the officer go to the trunk and talk about finding a stash. Okay. At this point, they're utilizing vernacular as if they are, well, common drug dealers, which in a way they may actually be. So, right. So why would you have a stash of drugs randomly in your car? And if you don't have it now, that means you planted it likely on somebody else. But they went to the car, and to me, it's so chilling because of how all of the officers were down with the play. Nobody had to synchronize, nobody had to huddle, but they were down with this. What happened to where you got access to this video? And when you did, how did you feel?
Oh, I'm angry, Dr. Ritchie. You know, I was an executive at the biggest company in Benton Harbor.
Wow.
I'm an NYU MBA. I've never even been arrested. So where did they get trafficking from? Clearly, that's a trope. Then Kenya comes around to the car talking about fruity, fruity, fruity. All of the tests showed that I was negative. So he clearly was a homophobe. So I'm just very upset. I'm upset with Michigan State Police. They are withholding information from my attorney and me. And I'm upset, frankly, with the governor. And I'm upset with the Colonel Grady. We need this resolved immediately. We filed our complaint in June. And if I can count, that's more than 90 days. The investigation should be over. And we all saw the video. So for me, it's over. I need these officers fired.
I would say they should be under criminal investigation, in addition to not being anywhere near the sanctity of an office of public trust. So let's talk about the filing, the filing that you and your attorney have levied against them. In this filing, what are the specific claims made?
Well, it's so interesting. Initially, we thought it really was a matter of discrimination. So while black, right? Then obviously we get the videos and we had to expand it to planting drugs and trying to implicate me in a drug crime, which would have ruined my life. Then it expands again, Dr. Ritchie, to a criminal conspiracy to manipulate the evidence and to conceal. So we have not quite yet made that third update to the lawsuit yet. We want to give them a moment to come clean and give us the evidence immediately.
Did you all file in state court or federal court?
This is federal. It's a civil rights violation.
Good, good.
We can't trust Michigan. We cannot.
Yeah, that's right. Good, because it takes it out of their home court advantage, basically. At this point, how many officers do you know were involved?
Well, that's the chilling part. We thought that it was 2 dumb cops. And now, if the records department is manipulating videos, how high does this go in Michigan State Police? And what is the governor doing? I got a form letter back from the governor about 2 weeks ago that she cannot participate or intervene in these types of matters. I think she needs to get on the phone with Colonel Grady, who is the head of Michigan State Police, and figure out what's happening like today.
You know, I have a different point of view than some. I think the colonel is well aware of what's happening. I believe the governor is well aware as to what's happening. You have a culture inside of policing, and even though the rules may say one thing, the culture says another. And as I say all the time, culture eats policy alive every day of the week. This is problematic. You could have had your entire life destroyed over a lie.
Yes.
And they would have made it seem as if they just found the drugs. Yep, their investigation was proper. And the fact that he did it or attempted to do it to you, seemingly in that video, is an indicator that they have done it to others.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And the other thing that makes me so angry is just yesterday, I saw Officer Kanya's wedding website. So he's engaged, he's out and about in Benton Harbor, he's taking pictures at the fountain, and I'm dealing with trauma. Like, I can't even, I can't go a day without crying spontaneously. I can't sleep past 2 a.m. anymore.
Brother, we support you. I want you to hear the love and the support that we have for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've gone through something that 99.9% of the population would never experience. But I want you to know you have taken control of the narrative by doing what you're doing, standing up, providing leadership, articulating the facts, being willing to talk to the public. We got the best video from your own YouTube page.
Thank
you. Yes, because you advocated for justice, yes. And you happen to be the person that needed that justice.
It's not just for me. When I was in that jail, I knew I was not the only innocent person there.
That's right.
This is a criminal conspiracy, and it has to end immediately.
Brother, your fight will change things not only for the future, but it may also have the effect of changing some things that have been done unjustly in the past, because you are creating exposure. The best way to get rid of darkness, as Dr. King would say, is to expose it to light. Darkness and light, they are not co-equals. Anywhere there is light, darkness flees. And this is how corruption permeates. It permeates in the dark, and you've been able to bring it to the light. I am interested to know, sir, how, when you did the Freedom of Information request, and you did get at least some of this video, even though there's redaction and editing, they left, whoever gave this to you, left a very key part in there. I don't know if that was done intentionally or not, but if they were supposed to erase all of the potential criminal activity of the officers, they did a bad job, because clearly you see them going to the trunk trying to find their stash for you. How do you think that happened?
Well, I had this conversation with my sister's mom, and I said, there must have been an idiot in the records department that released this. And she said, don't think about it like that. Maybe there was an angel in the records department that let that go out, and they just couldn't do it anymore.
Man, is your attorney confident you can get some of these officers under oath anytime soon?
Well, we'll see. If I were in their shoes, I would definitely try not to go to trial.
Yeah. Since this has happened, has the department targeted you in any other way?
Well, personally, no. I live in Alabama now. I have no intention of going back to that state unless it's to see
Good for you.
The two troopers in trial. But I will tell you this, Dr. Ritchie, and thank you for asking. A number of my friends have helped me to expose this on social media. And what they're saying is that the Michigan State Police are stalking their social media in a very aggressive and intimidating manner.
This is so sad, man. It's just completely insane. But people like you standing up, opportunities to share. And when I tell you, dear brother, you got millions of people who are supportive of you, who appreciate what you're doing. They want you to feel the love they have for you. When I saw you going through that, during the back and forth, it seemed so ridiculous, as if somehow
it was so hard to just.
I mean, you kept your cool, but you were confused as to why. You know, what's this back and forth?
But I was starting to break down. I was starting to break down towards the end, right before they took me.
Yeah, who wouldn't? Yeah. the person you were with, because you were driving somebody,
Yes.
what interaction, if any, did they have with the officers?
Well, that is the dash cam and body cam that I'm referring to that's super redacted. They were questioning him, obviously on the right side, the passenger side, if the car belonged to me, which is just so disgusting because one, the tag is my name. Two, you did the whole registration review. Like, it's my car. I'm an executive in the town. If they had any brains, they would have looked at my ID and saw where I lived. So that was the thrust of the conversation with him is, come on, you can tell us, it's okay. Where did he get this car from?
How has this impacted your career, your life since?
I'm just so fortunate that I'm an entrepreneur. I would not be able to advocate for myself like this if I were kind of towing the line for corporate America. And, you know, I had to leave corporate slavery and work for myself.
For those who are watching now, for those who will see this later, what would you say to them about police misconduct and the corruption that you faced, and how would you empower them?
Yeah. So we're not going to make our cities safer by stalking and terrorizing a portion of the population. Like, let's think about how we police in a way that's ethical and fair and effective.
Would you say that this has made you a stronger advocate to get rid of corruption and police misconduct?
For sure, for sure. This cannot continue. And I just am heartbroken to think about people who are still in that jail. And maybe they don't have $250 for a Freedom of Information Act request. Maybe they don't have money to hire an attorney and pay a retainer up front. I shouldn't be free in Alabama because I have money. That's not right.
Right. You said one of the most powerful points I've probably ever heard, because it goes back to the dynamic of this justice system is set up for those who can afford the best defense.
Yes.
Not because they are appointed the best defense. Dear brother, we applaud your leadership, your courage. Anything that we can do for you at Indisputable, you just let us know and it's done. For those who are watching this and they would like to follow you on your YouTube page, they can do so. You can give that out freely. That's where I found much of the information, and I'm so glad you put it out there so clearly. And I said, we have to do this story. So let people know how they can follow you in this case.
So anywhere on social, it's going to be under Dakarai Larriett as depicted on the screen. Please go to the videos and share, share, share. Please call Governor Whitmer. Please call Colonel Grady. We've got to get these troopers off the street. People are reaching out to me saying they've had the same experience as recently as September. This is insane. It hasn't stopped now.
That's right. And it won't stop until there's great exposure and a great transfer of these officers out of positions of public trust. Dear brother, we are appreciative for you joining us today and spending so much time with us. Thank you for your time today. All right. Wow. All right. Remember, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.